evening, good afternoon, ladies and gents. Welcome back to High Top Sports Oregon. This show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS. We were able to wrangle up Derek here after his week-long parade after winning the national championship last Saturday against Ohio State. We got Derek the Duck Zelmer, man. We're going to talk about the quick little recap of this Ohio State game, which was incredible, and then get into, of course, the big matchup tonight against old Boilermakers Purdue. Should be a good one. How you feeling, champ?
Wow, after the last week, I ain't gonna lie, I'm riding my little emotional high right now, and I'm just absolutely loving watching the Ohio State fans melt down on social media. I've seen every excuse in the book, and it kind of makes my heart happy to know that, we had a little part to do with that suffering. But I'm feeling good. Obviously, I think I should be feeling good heading into tonight's game against Purdue, too. We were just talking about how crappy they are in every statistical category mankind could possibly fathom, and you know how the spoiler makers are on a Friday night, though. So we'll get into that one a little bit later.
Yeah, it could get a little sexy here on this Friday night, but I do want to talk about this game because look, I think the Ducks are getting a little bit of flack. I think they're getting not enough love, and I'll tell you why. Look, first of all, massive win. We've got our man Dan Lanning causing rule changes in college football because of his genius. I loved it. Big win. Ryan Day proved me right once again. I was telling everybody to smash the money line on the Ducks. I was like, I got a Duck insider. I feel pretty good about it. And sure enough, we're talking about the skin of our teeth here, boys and girls. By golly, was it ever? I thought Dan was going to do it to us again. Got into it. Felt like he was getting to it. Felt like the Washington game last year is what it kind of was rolling a little bit. But I feel like if Ohio State wins this game, they're the number one team in the country. And I know the AP poll doesn't really matter right now, but I feel like you're not getting enough love for beating what we heard all season, the most talented football team Ohio State's ever had, the most talented team in college football, the biggest NIL budget, and $20 million outside of course, Uncle Phil. I'm kind of flabbergasted. Texas steamrolled a mediocre, below mid, wannabe SEC team in Oklahoma. Okay, they handled their business against a one-trick pony in Michigan. And I love me some Hook'ems. Don't get it twisted. I just think the hype is through the roof. The Ducks aren't getting love. This was the big game. This was the circle, the welcome to the Big Ten, and they handled it. Not enough love, Derek. Not enough love.
It is what it is. Honestly, I'm kind of one of those people who I don't get too bent out of shape by the poll, especially when we're sitting here in October. I know there are a certain population of the Duck fans who are up in arms right now because, kind of like you said, some people do think Ohio State is the best team in the country. And I think you have a very valid argument if that's your point. But it's, Texas has scuffled against some of these teams. Yes, but then again, at this very same time, I feel like I'd be hypocritical if I wasn't completely overlooking the first 2 weeks of the season where Oregon struggled with Idaho and Boise State. Now, obviously things transpire throughout the season, teams grow, but just the way I'm choosing to look at it at this point, it's like Texas just struggled a week ago. The only difference is Oregon struggled 4 weeks ago, and maybe it's one of those things where Oregon's hitting their stride and, they're going to become a national juggernaut, or maybe it's one of those things where Texas truly is on the slide down, but I don't know, until we really see, a true upper echelon matchup, we're going to find out a lot about Texas this week.
Yep.
We're going to find out exactly who they are, but I'm not mad about where Oregon's at right now. I'm happy with 2. I was a little chapped to see Ohio State just slide back down to 4. I think they lost 2 spots or something.
3.
So,
Yeah.
It is what it is, but I'm not mad about the ranking. I'm happy where we're at.
Civil Derek is a boring Derek. I mean, if you're Duck fan, just unsub from that mediocrity, I wouldn't blame you. By golly. I mean, just bending over or just folding like a lawn chair on that one. It's okay. And whatever. We'll take the 2C. We're not that good. Unbelievable. I wanted the big cock jock on that one. Boys and girls, this show is, of course, brought to you by BetUS. When you use the code YouTube150, you get back 150% on your first deposit, then $125 on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. The Ducks were money last week. Can they be money this week as they are plus 30 favorites against Purdue? And I think Derek's going to give us every reason why you should hammer home on the plus 30 here against the Ducks and the beastly old Boilermakers here at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Talk to me and make me again. BetUS.com where you can get a hold of that. Good.
The amount of crazy stuff that has happened in West Lafayette, Indiana over the last 10 years when Purdue has just been dog water of a program. And especially we're talking about a Friday night after a big win. I don't think Dan is the type of coach that's going to let his team come in here and get ahead of themselves in that regard. What I am saying though is I think this could be a little closer than that 30-point spread. Just due to the mojo, man. I don't know what it is about Purdue on a Friday night, but I know everybody watching the show remembers Ohio State a couple years ago. Purdue was absolutely awful. Ohio State went in there as what, the number 2 team in the country and got walked. So it's just weird stuff happens there.
Could
And the
this be
Duck
a
fans,
Vandy Bama situation? Is that what you're telling me? Are you feeling nervous on the
no.
Boiler? You are just crawling backwards. We should be the number 2 team. The Boilermakers are going to bring it. What are we doing, Derek? You just got back from your parade.
Well, parade's over now. I'm on to the next week.
Okay, all right. Let's.
It's just it's one of those things, man. And every Oregon fan who's watching this right now knows every year it's happened like this. It's like there's always a trap game that you look at and you say there is no business that happens. For Oregon in the past couple of years, it's been a Friday night in Tempe, Arizona. That one's been a death sentence. Going to the farm in Stanford, no matter how bad that team is, that was always like, everybody always gets shaky. And I think Purdue is kind of that team of the Big Ten. It's one of those where like you see them on the schedule and you're like, yeah, we're gonna walk them. And to be honest, you probably will. But it's just that little bit in the back of my head that's like, I don't want to get overly cocky right here. But if I'm being honest, I'm feeling pretty cocky right now. I just can't
Yeah.
include that to the audience. I don't want to get roasted. So
Look, I don't. Purdue. I understand where you're coming from. Purdue is not that team this year. You've got coming up Illinois, who is a not your typical Illinois this year. That game should be an interesting one at Oregon. Then you got at Michigan. I think you'll handle that one just fine, but it's going to be a test on the road. Big house. That should be interesting. Maryland is that team this year. Maryland and Wisconsin can be one of those 2 teams that could spoil your parade. And even Washington, in a sense, could spoil your parade. But you guys are used to Washington, so we're not going to get into that just yet. That's far down the road. We won't. Washington has no chance. My apologies. I think Maryland and Wisconsin fit more into that. I get what you're saying, right? That team that just kind of ruins somebody's night because nobody's expecting it. I don't think Purdue is going to be an issue. Evan Stewart was your breakout guy. Dylan Gabriel, I mean, obviously the Heisman talk. 3 weeks ago, we had the greatest Heisman run and campaign we've seen in a long time, and it looks like Ashton Genty and Travis Hunter. It's a 1-2 race at this point, and Travis Hunter is hanging on given the fact that he's a 2-way player. But Ashton Genty is single-handedly winning this thing. If Gabriel wants to even be part of this conversation, whether he cares or not, he needs to sling this ball around and put up some numbers against Purdue. Just to stat the numbers here for the end of the year, big guy. This is what this game should be.
And I think that's true. I think you make a valid point, but Purdue's run defense is so bad, and Jordan James is so good. I think we're going to see a lot of ground and pound tonight. I think we see a lot of Noah
Some mom
Whittington.
joke in there somewhere, boys. You guys figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know if DG is going to have like a 5-touchdown performance. Like, I feel like if they opened it up, absolutely, that could definitely be a thing, just because Purdue's pass defense is also absolutely atrocious. But I think we see a lot of that run game tonight. I wouldn't be surprised, maybe hot take, maybe not, if we see a running back eclipse 170 yards tonight. That wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. Well, look, I would love to see Dylan Gabriel to get on the board and let Dan cut it wide open. You got through the big hurdle, which was Ohio State. This thing's been circled on our calendar since like 3 years ago, before it even existed. We felt this game was coming, and you guys were able to go in there and handle business. I mean, I know I'm going way ahead of it, but next year the horseshoe is going to be nuts. There's going to be some sour feelings going into that game. And when you guys are defending national champions, of course, is going to have a lot more credibility going into that game. So it should be going here again. Kickoff here in just a couple of hours, 5 p.m., 3 hours, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You know, you guys, you weirdos, are in a different time zone over there, but it's like 12 o'clock, like all the time, I feel like, over in the West Coast. But be sure to smash the like button, boys and girls. Subscribe. Are you in the codes doing a call-in show after tonight's game, or what's the call on that?
I believe we are, yeah. If Oregon wins, absolutely. If Oregon loses, you may never see my face on here again. So that's kind of where we're at with it. I would expect.
Can we get you'll eat shit out of Red Solo Cup if things don't go your way? Can we get one of those bets?
I am not eating no dog shit. I don't care who.
You should feel good about it.
Man, that is his fault for putting his livelihood on the line over.
Don't put that on me. Don't put that on me.
That's not me, man. I want no smoke with that. I'll do some shit, but I'm not eating no, that ain't happening.
I'll do some shit, but I won't eat some shit.
When never wins the natty, that's gonna be my fault, and I can't live with that.
Fair enough. The words of Duck, I'll do some shit, but I won't eat no shit. We got FSU and Duke at 7, Oregon, Purdue at 8, and then Oklahoma State and BYU at 10:15. A phenomenal slate for a Friday night. I love that. Again, boys and girls, be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. This show was, of course, brought to you by BetUS. We'll see you boys in the next one. Peace and love, baby.